was really good, though.
But let's talk
really
about
good.
stories, because
really
a big one just broke, and it's the New Yorker's Ronan Farrow who broke a story about the Harry Weinstein case. Well, he's got another story, a follow-up on now one of Donald Trump's alleged
affairs.
Exactly.
Right, and when I saw this morning trending, it was trending pretty early. They seem to time these things out, that they have sort of some teasers, and then they're going to release it, and then wouldn't you know it, he's booked on a bunch of shows and podcasts later on today. So I think with the recent story about Weinstein, Ronan Farrow has a lot of credibility at the moment for being involved with a big story, being way ahead of it. So just at first glance, you think, oh no, here we go again with another one of these back and forth things that's going to drag out. Exactly.
Right.
I think initially there was a lot more traction and interest because he was connected to this, at least initially. So again, we don't know. These are allegations. These will all play out throughout the course of today. But what the story is about is a system that is set up, alleged by her, and also it seems like there's facts that are also backed up by Stormy Daniels, who's recently in the news, about how these extramarital affairs with high-powered people come together. And so we're not talking about Donald Trump, the president. This is before he's the president, and I want to take a step back from talking about all of that, just to what he is describing in this article as this very elaborate system that seems to be in place where there's an extramarital affair, there's non-disclosure agreements happening, there are people involved, and what happened twice now with these stories that came out is that someone came in at the last, both these females were going to tell their story, and someone came in at the last minute, and there's alleged money involved to basically buy the story, and by the ability for that individual to tell the story. Basically, your money is being spent. Again, this is from the article. It's not my. This is what I think happened. Again, I'm just quoting the article. I'm paraphrasing. It's more accurate. But to basically buy their silence, so they think that they're telling their story. They sign it, and then at the last second, the publication decides not to run it. So it's a process that they call catch and kill. Basically, you get the story and you kill it on the behalf of somebody else. So I found that to be the most interesting part of this whole story, is that these women feel like they have a story that they want to tell, whether it's true or not. They're going to go on the record with what their version of events, and then when an NDA is involved, then they no longer have that ability to tell their own story because they agreed to it for perhaps a sum of money. So I just find this system just so fascinating because it's something that is, I think, new to a lot of people, but perhaps it's been ongoing for a number of years with very powerful people.
I'm sure it has been, but I have a question.
Please.
Yes. Is the publication that is now not running the piece, they're also receiving money because they paid this person to do the story for that content. Who is paying them?
Well, that's sort of where we are with the Stormy Daniels thing. Now we have confirmed money exchange, but then it's okay. Well, where it's following the food chain. Where did that come from? It either is as it is, or there's something else to it. But you're right, because if it goes to that, then you're talking about perhaps criminal things.
That's the only hook, to me, is that it possibly violates campaign finance laws that an attorney for the president or the candidate paid Stormy Daniels X amount of money, and so. If it's not a violation of campaign finance law, then it's the president's dalliance, and he needs to square that with Mrs. Trump. And I think that that's something that they need to work out. Now, this new one, again, doesn't violate any campaign finance laws, anything. This is just another thing that happened a long time ago where it looked like then Donald Trump and this former playmate had something going on over a period of time. Again, Mrs. Trump needs to talk to her husband about that. But this doesn't, he wasn't the president. He was not running for president at the time. But it does give credibility to anything that may be going on with Stormy Daniels, that the president, would stray from Mrs. Trump.
Right. So we have comments coming up.
Do I have a picture of the alleged, the new one?
We don't have a photo of the new one for you, actually.
I'm always interested in seeing who we're talking about.
Her name is Karen McDougal.
Karen McDougal. It's in the New York Post today.
Former Playmate. The alleged affair is said to have happened between 2006 and 2007, which is 2 years into Donald Trump's marriage with Melania.
And that Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., knew about it, and like they talked about it.
This is her Instagram
She even was walked around the house, and Mr. Trump said, "Yeah, that's where Melania stays. She likes her privacy." This is, I'm just paraphrasing what was said in the New York Post. So
it wasn't a quick affair. It was a 9-month affair that they're talking about.
They kind of were together for a while. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, anything you would have told me about Donald Trump before he ran for president was that he was a bit of a player and has been a bit of a player, whether married or otherwise.
Right.
So there's nothing new to me that changes anything I thought about him one way or the other beforehand.
Not until more
other than he's denying it all. However, Stormy Daniels says she has a gold miniskirt, which may have some stuff on it.
Residue,
from
we'll
back.
call it.
Well, yeah, whatever. And that would, like the Lewinsky dress.
Right.
And so if that comes forward and that is tested and proven to be true, then Mrs. Trump really has a conversation to have with her husband, and or the money that Trump's lawyer paid to keep her quiet could then be used as violating campaign finance law because it was hush money for her to be quiet as the election was drawing near. So now we're into some legalese.
Once you're the candidate and you are weeks away from an election, it does become an election issue.
Waters.
Exactly. That's in the territory of the FEC. So here's another thing that I was fascinated by this. Someone was pointing out that it's not the setup where you have McDougal, and then you have President Trump, but he wasn't the president, so you have, we'll call him Donald Trump.
Businessman
Donald Trump. And so the money exchanged to buy her silence ahead of the election, so you think there's power over her.
Over who?
Over McDougal.
McDougal didn't get any money. She apparently, what I read today was right after they had their initial tryst or whatever, he said, "Do you want money?" And she's like, "No, I'm not in this for money. We kind of like each other," and so maybe she thought there was a potential of something going. I don't know if there's anything money-wise since then.
Fair point. But what was alleged is that it's actually not. Let's just say that it's that structure. Whether she wants to tell her story for free or for a fee, what have you. It's Donald Trump has power over this individual to be silenced. However, perhaps, and this is where it gets more interesting. The publication that owns the story has it on the record, has documents, photos, what have you. If they are holding the story, if they have it and they're holding it, perhaps these publications now actually have power over the now president. And that's where it becomes convoluted because if it's one person against another, however, if it's a publication that's hanging on to stories in the now first going into the second year of the president and has stories that would paint the president in a bad light, even if it happened before. And people talk about the Apprentice tapes or other things that have happened over the years. I don't know. All I'm saying is that what is in this article is this system of catch the story, kill the story, but it may not be dead forever because it does now, and it could potentially hold compromising stories, photos, documents, emails, whatever, over the now current president.
See, I don't
think
that
is an interesting angle that I've never heard of before.
These stories don't seem to put a dent in our administration at all. They just deny. The White House denied that this affair happened. And so whether or not Donald Trump asked Karen early in the relationship if she wanted money for this to keep her quiet doesn't seem to matter because if Melania doesn't say something, we can't really say much. It's a marital affair that has nothing to do with our presidency at this point in time.
Anything you say about Donald Trump, president or otherwise,
he's got oil on him. It slides off.
You say something, you're always going to get people who go, "Well, look at Bill Clinton. What was he doing?"
Every time they're in our comments doing that.
As president,
and that is
every time
profoundly different.
And there's legitimacy to that, and you go back through the years and. What did JFK do in office? And if he had some side stuff going on, was he compromised to blackmail or, anything else like that? So, or any senator. I mean, you don't have to just pick on the presidency, but, there's nothing about the McDougal thing or the Stormy Daniels thing right now that I'm like, what? You're talking about Donald Trump, who wasn't president, and these things are said about him? I'm like, He's a player, man.
But
he's always been a player.
But we're in a time where the presidency and reality TV are in such an odd Mod Podge, if we can call it that.
Yes, you
can.
That
people feel that they can comment on any aspect of any part of his life. And now we're at a place where I'm not questioning, but there are some people who question who can comment on politics and who can comment on his sexual life.
Right.